Tonight's all about really the opportunities that come around in our lifetime when we get to be taught by someone, or by something that happens to us. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of my story and where I got to where I am. But before I do that, I just wanted to tell you a little story. As I look back on my life, I find I have never been without teachers. The teachers were not always people, and I did not always enjoy or understand the lessons, but I really got now that I could not go on to the next lesson until the one I was experiencing was complete. This process is illustrated by the following story. It's a story about a seeker who went to a wise man and asked him for instruction in the truth. The master was a very simple, straightforward person, and when the seeker told him what he had come for, the wise man said, "Everything is consciousness, and thou art that. That is the truth." "Is that all?" the seeker asked. Can you say anything more?" "That's all I have to teach," the wise man said. "If you want something else, you'll have to go to another master." So the seeker left and eventually found his way to another master. The seeker came to him and said, "I want to know the truth. Please instruct me." With a glance, the wise man understood what kind of seeker he was. "Have you been to see anyone else?" he said. The seeker named the other master. "All right," the wise man said. "I will give you instruction, but first you will have to serve me for 12 years. The master called his manager and asked him, "Have we any work for this seeker?" The manager replied, "Every job is filled, except for one. We need someone to pick up cow dung in the cowshed." "Will you do that job?" the master asked. The seeker agreed to do it, and so for the next 12 years he lived with the master, picking up cow dung in the cowshed. At the end of 12 years, he went to the wise man and said, "12 years are over. Please instruct me now." "Very good," said the wise man. "Here is my teaching. Everything is consciousness, and thou art that." Immediately, the seeker fell into a deep trance and became one with the universe. When he returned to his normal state, he said wonderingly, "But that was exactly what the other master told me 12 years ago." "Of course," said the wise man. "The truth hasn't changed in 12 years. "But why did I have to spend 12 years picking up cow dung?" "Because your mind was too dense to understand it," said the master. So when the student is ready, the teacher will appear is a familiar adage that almost everyone has heard. I decided to take a look at what it really means for me. How does this process work in my life? Well, for instance, as I look back on my life, I find that I had many teachers, people who taught me lessons that were very hard for me to understand at the time. But once I had gotten the lesson, a new teacher appeared, and I moved on. I stayed in many jobs and relationships that I thought were serving me, only to find that they were just teaching me what I needed to know so I could move on. Often, these situations only taught me to recognize what was difficult for me or made me uncomfortable. I see now that new lessons and new teachers come along all the time that I didn't yet recognize, as I had not completed the lesson I was experiencing. So even when I asked for something new or better, I did not recognize it when it came, because in order to recognize what was next for me, I needed to complete my prerequisite current lesson. When I look at my life in this way, it no longer occurs as a series of unfulfilled expectations or a frustrating struggle. Looking back at my life, I see that I was never a victim of my circumstances. I just had lessons to learn. Looking at my life as a series of lessons, I can let go of my regrets that I have had. From this point of view, my life was meant to be just the way it was, and the way it was not. I can be grateful for the life I had and all the opportunities to learn. But best of all, I can be grateful for the teachers. There's always something to be learned, even if it's just to be at peace and accept the process. Ultimately, the lesson is, and has always been, that we always make the perfect choice, regardless of who or what we have chosen to be our teachers. Ahoy.